Assalamualaikum and hello there. We are from Group 10 are going to represent our video entitled Issue on Trespassing ASEAN Territorial Water. Here are the 10 examples of the ASEAN region where trespassing activity happen, which are Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Philippines, Myanmar, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam and lastly Malaysia. Recently, there is a lot of cases that happen due to the trespassing activity in the ASEAN territorial waters. This happen due to the margin of the sea is near to the surrounded region which make overlapping in EEZ. According to UNCLOS 2 stated that the trespassing in the other territorial water should be complied. As we can see from the article shown, the trespassing activity occurs regardless of country. Most of the activities of trespassing cause drawback to other region. This study divided into 5 categories for the structure of the framework. The first category is background information. In this part, we identify the gap of knowledge in the territorial waters trespassing in ASEAN. Next is the problem statement. We have determined the issue that been happen for water trespassing in ASEAN. Third category is report finding. We have analyzed the strength, weakness, opportunity and threat in the territorial waters trespassing in ASEAN. Fourth is the problem solution. We have proposed laws and legislation implementation with future direction to reduce the water trespassing. Last but not least is the conclusion and discussion. In this part, we have summarized all of the report on the territorial water trespassing in ASEAN.
Territorial waters are a targeted spot for trespassing because it has exclusive sovereignty over the water, seabed and airspace. Here shows a few headlines from newspaper articles regarding this issue. First is illegal Chinese fishing boats still barging not once or twice but 89 times into Malaysia's EEZ territories. Second, China's deception in the territorial sea of South China Sea through the infamous 9-dash line has provoked Vietnam's people to strike. Then Vietnamese fishing boat has been caught at Thailand waters. Then lastly, 25 Indonesia fishing boats chased away from Malaysian waters. These are significant principles that were addressed by United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. There are 2 articles in UNCLOS. Article 18, a basic purpose of the passage, which is a vessel that traversing that sea without entering the internal waters, and passage should be continuous and expeditious, but stopping and anchoring while only for ordinary navigation. For purpose of distress, ships or aircraft, danger is acceptable. Then Article 19, where it's stated on innocent passage, is not a prejudicial, damaging to peace, good or security of coastal state. There are 12 activities were listed as prejudicial, such as practicing weapons, collecting defense information and much more. Although innocent passage have advantage, these are a few common negative impacts among these Asian countries. These common problems are linked together, starting with overfishing that can cause overexploitation until the resources may be unable to recover, which leads to unsustainability of marine goods.
For limitation and delimitation of the study, our problem statement is trespassing issue have led to another problem such as IUU, overfishing and also illegal entrance of immigrant. Almost 38% out of total catch is caught by IUU fisheries. However, not all type of fisheries are accounted. Only some of it are contributing to the percentage. According to CIFTEC 2015, several factors has been recognized as the main reason for IUU fishing. Firstly, is they can reduce their operating costs such as license, regulation, use of vessel monitoring system and documentation. In the meantime, they also can break the rules on quota level, catch the juvenile size fish, bycatch or even endangered species, which trigger most of them to get paid for higher prices. Not just that, this issue has left a bad impact on the environment, the associated or dependent species and the surrounding ecosystem, or the existence of targeted species. Social and also the economy when the government has to invest much more cost and effort to conserve and manage the fish stock and the damage to the biodiversity. Plus, according to DOE 2013, the existence also will affect the harmony of the fishing activities and also pressure the local fishermen. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Malaysia, about 748 vessels and almost 7,203 Vietnam crew members were arrested in 2006 until 2019. Their presence also has become a serious threat toward our nation in terms of food security and maritime economy. Main factors that trigger Vietnam fishermen to trespass Malaysian territory is due to the depletion of sources in their country, which make them to plunder some 6 billion in marine resources a year. Now, it is believed that overfishing in Malaysia EEZ zone and South China Sea area can lead to serious problems to the food security and were expected to decline 1/3 and reduce to 59% by 2045 if not immediate action to be taken to solve this situation. For constraint and challenge, first is uncertainty and data gaps. Next is a significance of the problem, diverse range of diver, governance failure and the need for an holistic and integrated approach.
About the SWOT analysis on trespassing issue in Asian territorial waters. Firstly, the strength of the trespassing in Asian water is engagement under federal and state law with an international treaty as UNCLOS. It used to conserve the marine policy and legislation of ocean zoning, fishing, and conservative marine resources. For MMEA is deal with the naval defense and marine security of Malaysia. Examples of the published act and legislation are fishery and EEZ Act, and so on. For the latest punishment of the criminal trespass are 6 months of the imprisonment or 3,000 fine or both. The weaknesses of the trespassing issue is the lack of the development in maritime security management, not clearly jurisdiction, and border rules that caused the conflict between the Asian countries, such as Indonesia and Malaysia, or with the foreign countries such as China. Asian country is a developing country which consists of some issue in financial, food source, and habitat. The increasing number of the immigrants may be because of the poverty, war, and hunting for jobs. Also, the development of the illegal business of drug and human trafficking is quite popular. Opportunity to help to resolve the trespassing issue in Asian territorial water is the enforcement of policy and legislation in naval and maritime security management. Increase the number of the patrolling and enhance the constraint in trespassing problem also can use to limit the percentage of the trespassing. However, trespassing issues are lead to few threats that may threaten the safety of the country and people. For instance, political intervention and invention on the sovereignty of country, over-exploitation of marine resources and increase of the pandemic risk are another threats of IUU sea-based activity and pentatang asing tanpa izin PATI.
Asian country governments have to come up with more new suggestions. So these are a few. Okay. Firstly, Asian countries should attempt for a special regime through its fisheries waters. Then, a balanced framework where the coastal state have control over the area under its jurisdiction and the rights of third states in the EEZ zones. Policy making at international level faces many failures, thus an effective management is needed. Policy-making agency at Asian region has to make up for better management by representing the views of member states, expertise, and so on. Moreover, soft law mechanism is a negative impact is because it gaining of influence from national to transnational to supranational authorities. Finally, a few reasonable public opinions have to be included into the final version of protocol which lacks civil society commitments.
So, according to our discussion in this study, we conclude that the trespassing issue in Asian territorial water regions turns to increase this century. All 10 countries of ASEAN are taking action in their own marine type security and trespassing issue. Manpower and improper management of action is the factor that caused this problem to come up. It brings the outcomes such as IUU fishing and illegal immigration, which has caused the over-exploitation marine resources of a country's territorial waters without permissions, which lie as a criminal transaction such as human trafficking. It was against the sustainable fishing policy, food and economic security in the right of sovereignty. Enforcement in the Asian maritime legislation and zone jurisdiction should be implemented to protect the safety of country and to sustain the environmental development. Not just the government, but the whole human community of the country. We are responsible to keep our home in a secure condition by getting some knowledge and attention on this trespassing issue and cooperate with the discipline department. United we stand, divided we fall. Robert Grosstein.